So let's start this video with a quick question. One of these two games is made by a billion-dollar AAA studio, while the other game is made by a significantly smaller studio. Can you guess which game is made by the AAA game studio? You know what? It gets worse. One of these is a free game, and the other one costs $50. Can you guess which one is the free game? Okay, now that I got all the Diablo fans in the comments here, let the fighting begin. Man, I just love violence. Jokes aside, yeah, I'm finally making a video on Path of Exile 2. Now, why am I so late? Because, guys, I got an actual job and YouTube doesn't pay me shit. So yeah, took me some time to reach endgame on my account. Also, I'm from an Asian family, so my mom is gonna beat me to shit if I grind the game for like 10 hours a day. So yeah, 50 hours in running and Sorcerer, I finally have a good grasp of this game and I believe I can finally talk about the game with proper knowledge of what I'm saying. Let's start with what I liked about this game because, oh boy, this game absolutely crushed my expectations. Firstly, just look at how pretty this game looks. The level of visual fidelity, you expect something from a AAA studio game like, yeah, let's not mention them. GGG did an insane job with the small details in the world. The water, the shadows, the lighting, all of it is just insane. And the game plays super smooth on highest settings for me. I have a decent RTX 3060 Ti setup, so it's not the latest and greatest, but it still manages to get me 100 plus FPS on highest settings. If you do get a few frames less, as long as it's around 60, I will suggest stick to the highest settings because the game is just too beautiful and you don't want to miss out on this. The enemies in this game also look super unique. I won't say that they have the most unique looking skills, but yes, each boss has really cool introductions, multiple phases with intensity of attacks increasing, and each boss looks super cool. Cool enough that they leave an impression on you and you don't just clear them and forget about them. Same can be said about a few mobs. Some overworld encounters with elite mobs themselves are pretty challenging and give you something worth remembering. I really loved how the combat was refreshing in a way that you don't just slap a few skills, few items, and smurf through hordes of enemies like a brain dead bot. Instead, enemies are tough enough that you sometimes have to backtrack or disengage, respec your gear, properly study boss patterns and enemy patterns, and only then you can progress. Every single enemy on the map will pose an equal threat and any mistake you make will instantly get you killed. This made the exploration feel much more lively compared to other similar games where exploration is so easy that only the bosses just make sense. Speaking of respecs, we really can't ignore the in-depth features of the game now, can we? If you are coming from PoE 1, you know how insanely huge the skill tree can get. Pair it with item sockets, skill sockets, item rarities, random item passives, multitude of active skills, and the ability to equip any weapon of any class, you can literally make an insane amount of different builds for your characters. The fact that you can also socket skills of other classes into your class ends up providing infinite possibilities on what sort of characters you can create. The devs are also really responsive to each and every issue in the game. Actually, I have had a few things I wanted to mention in this video, but the devs ended up fixing a lot of them, so yeah, this video got delayed even further. It literally took them 2 days to address most of the issues in the game, which is crazy. I can't imagine how hardworking these guys must be to fix everything so quickly. Also, PoE 1 is already 11 years old and they are still actively supporting it, so we can probably trust them to support this game for just as long. Now that's wishful thinking because in 11 years I don't know if I'll still be human or cosmic dust, but yeah, let's see. And guys, it's free. I don't know how they managed to do this, but the game will launch for free, which is absolutely crazy. While some AAA games are charging $50 for far inferior games, these guys managed to make this game free. Like how? Okay, yeah, at the early access build I'm playing is paid, but it's early access and you don't just get the game, you get some premium currency as well. So fair enough, I guess. The official release will be free and we will have different servers, so new players won't be behind as they start on new server. This was pretty smart on their end, although what will happen to us who started playing earlier, I have to see. Because these early access servers will slowly die out as more people move to official servers, so I guess we're just bound to lose our progress. Alright, enough good stuff. Let's talk about some few problems that I've faced while playing this game, and a lot of players are facing these same issues. These problems need to be spoken about so they can be fixed. Although the latest patch fixed a lot of issues, there are still problems that exist in the game and it's not perfect. After all, the only two things that can help this from becoming the next game of the year are a few minor problems in the game and another Mario ripoff. First of all, and I know a lot of people can relate to this, the item drops. It's literally garbage. Like, it isn't even bad, it's just straight up trash. A lot of people have complained about this, and I faced the same issue in my playthrough. Things are so rough that you literally have to rely on trading to get the gear you want. Also, the fact that 90% of the time the gear you get doesn't work with your class, it just doesn't help. I've received like 3 mythical pieces for Ranger and only 1 for the Sorcerer that I'm actually playing. I can sell these gears in the player market to get something for my Sorcerer, but yeah, that's an extra hassle in my opinion, and gear should drop according to the class you're playing. At least more gear should drop for the class that you're playing. Gear sharing in co-op is also weird. It's either you only keep what you get, or it's a free for all loot and whoever is fast picks up everything. Played an act in cruel difficulty and the drops rate didn't improve much. I got a lot more orbs and skill gems, but the gear drop is still very irrelevant. The next big thing we need to talk about is the ascendancy trials, because what the fuck were they thinking when they made this abomination? Honor system? Really? So all my gear, levels, skills, none of that matters now? Ascendancy trials in general should test if your damage and gear is optimal. This has nothing to do with your build. It's like literally a running simulator and you gotta avoid damage. Shit is so bad unless you're like 10 levels above the trial requirements. Don't even try. Also, if you want to play your favorite class, you might want to rethink that choice. The difference in damage between classes is insane. Some classes are really difficult to play solo, don't get good skills, and literally don't scale well endgame. Meanwhile, some classes are so strong that you can solo all acts without dying once. As someone who played Ice Sorcerer, I can say it's one of the weaker classes. You don't get your main damage skill Comet unless you're like level 41. Until then, all your skills do really low damage and very difficult to pull off because they need enemy to stand in one place. Not to mention, while you can easily freeze mobs, bosses take long time to freeze and only stay frozen for like 3 seconds. Yes, I have built my Sorcerer properly. I did pick nodes that give increased freeze build up and freeze up time. So it's just bad. After all of this, it's still bad. I also struggled a lot with Act 1 bosses, Act 3 enemies running straight into my face, and most bosses took multiple attempts. Frustrated, I started a Ranger class and I literally smurfed through everything in Act 1. I didn't die once in Ranger yet and every boss straight up disappeared in seconds. The DPS was so high. The skills Ranger gets are also so easy to use and do so much damage, you will literally have zero problem clearing all the content in the game alone. It basically makes the game easy mode. My buddy picked Monk and even he had to suffer a lot early on, dying multiple times, not enough damage. It only is later at level 50 when he was finally able to deal ideal damage and solo stuff. So my suggestion is to start multiple classes and play for a while with them. See which one feels strong, because trust me when I say it, you will need a really strong class early on and the enemies are tough and you will die multiple times if you choose wrong. They need to properly balance classes so some classes don't feel like shit while others completely solo the whole game. Picking the right build is also important because some builds like Lightning on Ranger are really strong, but builds like Freeze are super weak and really not building right now. This kind of limits options. Unless they make builds feel equally impactful, we will end up with everyone running the same template and the same class everywhere. There are a few small issues too, like skill tree has no resistance node for all classes and you get negative resistance in every act, so resistance has become very difficult to obtain later on. Very important bosses that give you permanent buffs are often not related to any story and are hidden in the maps. Those need to be clearly mentioned, especially to new players. Respect costs are still a bit high, especially endgame if you want to switch builds. Revive timer is also insanely long. If you are in co-op with one person, it takes like 6 seconds and no enemy is gonna stand around for 6 seconds waiting for you to revive your buddy. Like, it's literally useless in boss fights. Once your teammate dies, just give up on reviving them and struggle alone with a co-op scaled boss. These are small issues though, and I believe if the community talks more about this, then GGG will take notice and fix these issues. All in all, this is one of the best games I played this year, hands down. I'm really looking forward to where this game ends up on official release. Seeing how the devs are very responsive to community feedback, I have high hopes for this one. Have you guys tried out Path of Exile 2? What class did you pick and what was your experience like? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video.